I decided to ask ChatGPT how to write a script basically to see what it would come up with. It's what you would expect from those cheesy commercials. Opening scene. A friendly and enthusiastic cabin crew member standing in front of a plane. Host, which would be me. Welcome back, fellow travelers. Today we're going to dive into the exciting world of the cabin crew schedule. Have you ever wondered how flight attendants manage their time and handle their hectic routines? Well, fasten your seatbelts because we're about to take off on a journey through their daily schedules. Oh yeah, now it transitions to animated visual of a typical cabin crew schedule. Wow! Fasten your seatbelts, guys, because we're diving into this amazing journey today. Also, if you wonder how I look so fresh today, it's because I finally had a whole night sleep. I just needed to sleep so badly my last couple of days. I would say even the whole last month, it just was so hectic and I had minimum rest most of the time and I just felt so tired. So the first schedule we're gonna look at is from November. That's the month when I got paid the lowest.
The money, Skylar, where is the rest?
So starting from the 1st of November, it was actually a coming back flight from Melbourne. I had a layover there, so on the 1st of November I was coming back to Abu Dhabi. Then I had 3 days off and then I had a flight to Istanbul. I did not operate on that flight. I was not the crew operating, I was deadheading. I was traveling in my uniform, but I was seated in the passenger seat, so I was not an active crew on that flight. I did operate flight back, which was the next day. So I flew to Istanbul. I spent there 16 hours in a hotel, and after 16 hours I was operating flight back from Istanbul to Abu Dhabi. And a day later I had training in the training academy, which was from 7:30 to 3:30, and the next day I had flight from Abu Dhabi to Moscow. I had a layover there or almost 45 hours, and then I came back from Moscow to Abu Dhabi. And after 2 days off, I had another flight from Abu Dhabi to Zurich. I spent there 26 hours almost, and the next day in the evening I had another flight. It was a turnaround from Abu Dhabi to Islamabad and from Islamabad to Abu Dhabi. All those flights that I've done were on a different aircraft type, which is another thing you will have to adjust if you become a cabin crew. One day you'll be flying Boeing 787, the other day you will be flying Airbus, and then nothing more interesting because from that day on till the end of the month I was not working as I was on my holidays. That's the end of the month. Wonder why I got paid so low. Yeah, I can't really complain because it's still a decent amount, but I just wanted to use this month to compare it with the next one, which is the one that I got paid the most so far. To start with, I was also on a leave. It seems like I'm not working at all. But yeah, you will see the difference definitely between those rosters and what we have to do now. The first flight that I did in January was actually, in my opinion, the most demanding duty that we have, which is a Phuket-Bangkok flight. It is difficult because we have to do the same thing multiple times. First we fly to Phuket. In Phuket some of our guests are disembarking, but some of them are staying with us till we reach Bangkok. So basically we have to do all the checks, all the preparations twice. Then after that I had 1 day only in Bangkok, and on the return we also go from Bangkok to Phuket, and from Phuket to Abu Dhabi. After that I had Moscow flight, and as you can see it's different aircraft type. I mean it's still Boeing, but one is 787-9, the other one is -10. A little bit over 1 day in Moscow and back to Abu Dhabi, 2 days off, and another aircraft type, Boeing 777 to Sydney. It's a long flight, guys, but it's also a nice long layover. It's 42 hours in Sydney and back to Abu Dhabi. Then 3 days of rest and a flight to Narita, 787-9. So I think it's one of my favorite planes. As a crew, it's just the one that is easy to work on. Just to give you the idea, when we fly on Airbus, it's a smaller plane, it's less crew, but it's also way less space. We don't really have that corner where we can stand or just not be in somebody's way. What is nice about Boeing is that you have that space, you can sit down, you can in the free moment that you have, you can have your meal, or you can just sit down if you need to take 5 minutes and you know, calm down or relax, or I don't know, if you've been standing because it's been a long service, you have that space there to sit down and rest your legs for a minute or two. And that's basically it for the month of January. The end of the month I was off, so quite a nice month, to be honest. I think I have to request those flights because the pay was good, the flights were okay, and a lot of days off to enjoy my free time. So actually it's quite nice to do this video because I know what I kind of want in the future, or in my future rosters, what flights would give me the most money and the most rest at the same time. So yeah, it's a good one. And now we have July. This is definitely not my favorite month. As of now it is 7th of July, so I've already survived the first week. And survived is a good word for that week, to be fully honest with you. I started with 3 turnarounds in a row. The first one was Riyadh on 320. The second turnaround was also Riyadh on 321. And the last turnaround, which I just came back from, was Cairo on 321 as well. All Airbus basically. None of those flights were there when I got my roster for this month.
Surprise!
Instead of those flights, I was supposed to be on a layover in India. After Riyadh, I was supposed to be on the standby, which means that you have to be available during the hours. If your standby starts at 2 p.m. till 3 p.m., it's usually longer, but just to give you the idea what happens. Between this time, so between 2 and 3, they may call you and ask you to do a duty, to do a flight.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling?
If I can give you advice, if you're just starting the cabin crew adventure and you have a standby in your roster, just make sure the moment your standby starts, if you haven't had any changes to it before, be in your uniform, have your hair done, have your food done for the flight, be packed, and just await the call, because in most cases they're gonna call you. I've never had a standby that wasn't a flight in the end. I don't know if I'm unlucky when it comes to standbys or if I'm actually lucky. Because personally for me, if I'm sitting on a standby, I just prefer it to be a flight than to just sit and wait and anxiously wonder if you will have enough time or not to get to the airport and so on, or prepare for the flight and you know, all those things. I just prefer to know what's gonna happen than wait for the unknown. After that, 2 days off, and then I'm gonna go to Toronto. Again, a long flight, 787-9 and 29 hours layover. and back to Abu Dhabi. 3 days off, and then we're gonna fly 787-10 to Manila in Philippines and back to Abu Dhabi. Not much rest, just 24 hours later I'm going to Frankfurt. After 27 hours, almost 27 hours, I'll be going back from Frankfurt to Abu Dhabi. 2 days off, and then flying 777 from Abu Dhabi to Jakarta, 24-hour layover, and back to Abu Dhabi. The next day I'm flying back to Frankfurt, 2 days off, and the last duty I have of the month is a turnaround flight on Airbus 321 to India and back. It's a busy month, it's not that many layovers, it's all the layovers are pretty short, a lot of turnarounds. My roster is quite different depending on the month, and you can't really predict how much time off or what days off you will have. This month is definitely busy. The previous month was very similar, a lot of turnarounds, a lot of short layovers, not that much fun, let's say. One of the reasons why we do this job is because we like to explore, we like to feel adventurous and so on and so on. So the months that I have mainly turnarounds and short layovers that I've done already a few times are not my favorite ones, let's say. When it comes to the crew schedule, you can have also different duties than the ones in those rosters. Your roster is basically fluid all month, so even today they may change my Toronto flight to another turnaround, or they can change it to Sydney or to London or whatever other destination they want to change it to. But apart from those duties that, let's say, are confirmed, we do have standbys that I've already mentioned. Those are my least favorite duties because you do have to be on call and you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, of course, you pack and so on. If they put you on a flight or call you for a flight, let's say to Moscow during winter, and you packed your swimming suits for Philippines or for Thailand or Seychelles, then it can be still quite challenging. Would you take the full bag of both winter and summer clothes, or would you risk it and try your luck and hope for the nice destination and pack only swimming suit, shorts and t-shirt? What would you pack, not knowing where you're going? The roster that you get at first for the month may be a completely different roster than you will end up doing. So unless it is your confirmed day off, I would not take it for granted. Okay guys, so that's basically it. This is how my schedule looked during 3 months. Even now, thinking about it, I can't really compare it because it is so different. The days off are not the same, the flights are not the same, the pay was definitely not the same. So I don't know if it gives you any clearer idea that I hope to give you at first when I started recording this video, but at least it can show you that it is very unpredictable and it is changing a lot. Even during the active schedule period, it is still changing. So you do have to adapt to those changes a lot. A good thing is that you can actually request flights, you can request days off, and so on and so on. It doesn't mean that you will get them in the end, but you may ask the scheduling gods to give you this specific flight or this specific layover. But for now, guys, that's it. Let me know if what do you think about the schedules. If you work already as a cabin crew, is it any similar to what you're working with right now, or is it something you would expect, or is it completely different than what you thought it would be? Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.